Brendan hasn't moved very far in his life. He was brought up in Island Bay and is retiring just 33 kilometres up the road in Camborne. But in between, there won't be many continents that Brendan hasn't ridden on. The start of the world by bike riding, which over the years was to cover some 60,000 kilometres, had a very low-key beginning. Joe Morgan and Dave Wallace, already committed riders of the Pan Silk Road route, came into Motorrad to check out the BMWs. Brendan approached Jo and quizzed her about the details of the proposed trip. After listening intently, Brendan replied, "I'd be keen on that. I'd like to come along." "Okay, great," said Joe, "you're in." Dave looked a bit dubious as they left the shop, wondering how long she had known Brendan. "About 3 minutes," she replied. I'm wondering what Joe saw in Brendan that day, as when I subsequently read the book after that journey, here is what they were looking for in the person to join their group. They needed people who covered the range of skills needed to get themselves out of the poo. Because they were bikers, they would have a character flaw in common. This is very dangerous in this room. They would be, as all bikers are, this is not my words, individualistic to the point of sheer bloody-minded arrogance. Second, there would be competitive issues to deal with. Biking is a testosterone-fueled activity. Perhaps not surprising that Brendan became a natural fit for the group, and so became one of the 8 riders on the Silk Road adventure of 20,000 kilometres in 2005, starting in Venice in Italy and finishing in Beijing in China. It seems Brendan and Dave, and I think Dave Wallace is known to some of you, were the night owls on the trip, who liked to get downtown and schmoozing around the girls until the wee hours, and that's a quote from the book. But not enough detail really to make it particularly interesting, until we get to Iran. This is, I've even photocopied it out of the book. In one restaurant where we had a meal, Brendan heard feminine laughter coming from upstairs. Understandably tired of staring at male faces, he decided he'd investigate. So he armed himself with a handful of picture cards and climbed the stairs. The group of women sitting at their meal fell silent, and some of them fumbling to cover their faces, then burst out laughing. Our lady killing Brendan went around the room. The women laughed and shook their heads, doubtless wondering who this dork was who didn't know there was a law against this kind of carry-on. For sure enough, there is a law against men being friendly with women in Iran. The poor old restaurateur came sprinting up the stairs, flapping his hands at Brendan and explaining in excited pidgin that he must get the hell out of that room. Ring any bells? No. Well, I'll see if he remembers this one, because now we're in Beijing. A lavish diplomatic reception was hosted by the New Zealand ambassador to China at the end of the Silk Road in Beijing. It was late as they were waiting for taxis to return to the hotel where they were staying, when a bike and a sidecar appeared down the road. The rider was Rebecca, a barefoot, bare-headed young lady with blonde hair and white summer coat, blowing in the slipstream, and a young female passenger in the sidecar. Of course, Brendan and Dave needed no encouragement to squeeze in, one on the pillion seat and the other in the sidecar. The rest of the group resigned themselves to seeing nothing of Brendan and Dave before morning, assuming the catastrophic noise of the exhaust failed to draw the attention of the local police with the bike and its fora. However, all 4 did appear at the end of the road with a noise like thunder, blasting down the road and screeching to a halt, and discharging 2 slightly dazed-looking Kiwi lads. As Rebecca, the local legend of Beijing, who always rides fast, always at night, and always dressed in her white summer coat, roared off into the night. However, what they did learn was that Rebecca is not a girl at all. But she was a decent facsimile, especially in the eyes of the boys, after a boozy night and a long, long solitary trip. I've got 20 more, so I'll keep going until he admits summit on Friday morning. 2008, and he's off again. This time, another 21,000 kilometres from Cape Town in South Africa to London, through 15 countries in Africa, Sicily, Italy and France to the UK, taking 4 months in total. Carolyn joined the group for a time in Zanzibar and the Serengeti, just as she'd spent some time on the Silk Road in Uzbekistan. I'm not sure whether it was bravery or stupidity that when the group appeared to be fed up with officialdom in Egypt, they agreed they would do a runner at every roadblock where the police tried to stop them. Don't listen, daughter, this is not good behaviour. So on a pre-arranged signal, they all started their bikes and took off, leaving the buffoons, as they called them, shouting and waving their arms behind them. I find this extraordinary that these middle-aged, respectable riders and normally law-abiding citizens would engage in this behaviour. But Brendan did pop into motorhead between trips, and in 2010 left for another 10,000 kilometre ride through South America, taking in Peru, Bolivia, Argentina and Chile. Carolyn and Lucy joined the group in the early stages. The other riders rode, and you can see all this on the map, the other riders rode right to the bottom of Argentina, and there the group went their separate ways. Brendan was riding solo from the bottom of Argentina to Santiago in Chile, some 3,000 kilometres. The ride was expected to take 5 to 6 600-kilometre days in a row across Argentina, over the Andes, and link up with Chile's Highway 5. Of course, Brendan did it in 4 days. When I asked him how he did it, he said, I rode and slept. Probably the most fascinating of all the rides, and a world first, was in 2013, from Vladivostok in Russia through North and South Korea, another 9,000 kilometres. Going between North and South Korea, all of